So, have you ever wondered what makes a cup of coffee cost, say, $3? Or why a new smartphone costs 1,000? How is the price of, well, anything actually decided? You'd think it'd be simple, but the answer is this fascinating mix of psychology, strategy, and, believe it or not, one of the oldest puzzles in economics. All right, to really get into this, we've got to start with a classic puzzle. And this isn't just any puzzle, it's a question that actually stumped the father of modern economics himself, Adam Smith. And it gets right to the absolute heart of what we even mean by the word value. Just think about this for a second. Water. We absolutely need it to survive, right? Yet it's practically free. And then you have diamonds. They're, what, mostly for decoration? But they cost a fortune. It feels completely backwards, doesn't it? Well, that right there is the famous diamond water paradox. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? The contradiction is staring us in the face. Water is super useful, but there's a ton of it, so it's cheap. Diamonds, not so useful for survival, but they're incredibly rare, so they're crazy expensive. So the key to solving this whole puzzle isn't about how useful something is overall. It's about a really powerful economic idea called utility. Okay, so to crack this puzzle, we've got to start by looking at value from our own perspective, as the person buying something. How do we, in any given moment, decide what something is worth to us? That's where this idea of utility comes in. So utility sounds kind of technical, but in economics, it's really just a fancy word for satisfaction or happiness. It's that feeling of fulfillment of desire you get from something. But here's the real kicker, the part that changes everything. Economists figured out that what really matters isn't the total satisfaction you get from something, but the satisfaction you get from each extra piece of it. Let's make this super simple. Think about pizza. You're starving. That first slice, oh man, it's incredible. We're talking 10 out of 10 satisfaction. The second slice, still really, really good, but maybe not as amazing as the first. Now, fast forward to the 8th slice. You're probably feeling sick. The satisfaction is actually negative at that point. See, the enjoyment you get from each extra slice goes down. That's it. That's the law of diminishing marginal utility. And the economist Alfred Marshall, well, he summed it up perfectly. He basically said that the more you already have of something, the less you care about getting one more unit of it. That little bit of extra benefit, that's what they call marginal utility, it always, always goes down. And that brings us right back to the diamonds in water. Just like the economist Paul Samuelson explained, since there's water everywhere, the satisfaction, the marginal utility of one more glass is super low. You just don't value it that much. But diamonds? They're so incredibly rare that the marginal utility of getting just one more is sky high. So you see, it was never about total usefulness. It's all about the value of the next one. Okay, so we've pretty much cracked the consumer side of things, right? Our demand is driven by this idea of marginal utility. But that's only half the story. We need to flip the coin and look at it from the business side. How do companies actually put a price tag on stuff? Well, they usually lean on 3 main pillars. Okay, so you've got 3 main ways to think about it. The first is pretty simple, cost-based. That's the company looking inward and asking, can we cover our bills and still make a profit? Then you've got the total opposite, competition-based, which is looking outward and asking, what's everyone else charging? But the one that connects to everything we've just talked about is right there in the middle, demand-based pricing. That's where a business tries to get inside our heads and answer the big question. How much value, how much utility does a customer actually see in this thing? So, how do these pillars actually work in the real world? Well, here's the interesting part. Businesses don't just pick one. They mix and match them to create these really specific strategies that you and I run into every single day, probably without even noticing. Let's check out 2 totally opposite strategies based on demand. First up is skimming. This is when a company launches something with a really high price. Why? Because they know the marginal utility for those early adopters, the people who have to have it first, is through the roof. Think about a brand new iPhone. Those first buyers get so much satisfaction from being the first that they're happy to pay a premium. Then, over time, the price drops for the rest of us. Now, the complete opposite is penetration pricing. This is when a new streaming service, for example, launches super cheap. The goal isn't to get a huge profit from a few people, it's to get a ton of people to sign up and grab a huge chunk of the market fast. And switching back to the cost-based side for a second, one of the most fundamental ideas is the break-even point. This chart shows that magic moment where the money coming in finally equals all the money that's gone out. You're not making money yet, but
but you're not losing it either. Every single sale you make after hitting that point, that's pure profit. This is basically the absolute rock bottom, the floor for any pricing decision a company makes.
But of course, pricing isn't always about cold, hard numbers. Sometimes it's all about psychology. There's this whole world of psychological pricing. You know this one for sure. Charm pricing. That's when something is 99 rupees because it just feels so much cheaper than 100 even though it's not. Then there's anchor pricing. That's the classic, was $19.99, now only $9.99. They show you the higher price first, so the new price seems like an amazing deal. And my personal favorite is decoy pricing. This is just brilliant. They'll have a medium coffee for $160 and a large for $165. The medium is the decoy. It's only there to make the large seem like an unbelievably good deal.
So when you put it all together, the psychology, the company's costs, what the competition is doing, what exactly is a fair price? Well, it turns out there's really no single easy answer. It's more like a complex, constantly shifting balancing act.
Yeah, a price really isn't just a static number on a tag. Think of it more like a meeting point. It's where our own perceived value, our utility, meets a company's goals for profit and market share. It's almost like a conversation between what we're willing to pay and what they're willing to accept. And this whole idea is so powerful that it's not even just about selling stuff anymore. It's being used to solve huge civic problems. Take congestion pricing in cities like London or Singapore. They literally charge people a fee to drive in busy city centers during rush hour. And it works. It's a way to manage traffic, cut down on pollution, and get more people to use public transit. It's just a direct application of supply and demand to manage a public resource. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Price is clearly this incredibly powerful tool, right? It shapes how we act, how business is run, and even how our cities work. So, if we can use pricing to solve something as complex as a traffic jam, what other big societal problems could it help us tackle? It's definitely something to think about the next time you're deciding if that cup of coffee is really worth it.